Alright guys, we're at Big Bailey Run on Wayne National Forest, and we're looking at a European starling. European starlings are, of course, a non-native invasive species. It has a very shiny coat this time of year, even iridescent, kind of black shiny coloration, a short stubby tail, which is one way you can tell from other blackbirds. A very bright yellow bill the males have during this time of the year. So this is a nice breeding male. European starlings can be troublesome for cavity nesting birds because they are cavity nesters themselves. They can usurp, especially wood ducks, other cavity nesting species from their nesting locations, and therefore can become pretty invasive. They are kind of unique. They're brought here from England because of their kind of reminded them of Shakespeare, because starlings appear in a lot of poems, a lot of stories from England. It's a mimic, and it does a very good job of mimicking other bird sounds, especially the bobwhite quail. They can do almost a perfect bobwhite quail. European starling. It's been famous here because Mozart actually had the composer Mozart had a pet starling, and actually contributed to one of his compositions. He based the composition on one of the songs of the starling. So here we got the European starling. Okay, we have a northern flicker. It used to be called the yellow-shafted flicker. Northern flicker, unlike a lot of woodpeckers, spends a lot of time on the ground anting. He's in the gravel right here. Not sure what he's foraging on. The northern flicker, unlike a lot of woodpeckers in Ohio, it's not a black and white woodpecker. It does have some red on it. Of course, the long, stout bill, like most woodpeckers do. Spotted breast. And gets its name from the gold yellow shafts. You can see the red there on the back of the neck. From the golden shafts. That's why I used to call it yellow-shafted flicker. It also, you can see here, it has that black gorget, the black gorget across the front. And you see the spotted breast. So it's very much different than a lot of woodpeckers we have in Ohio. It spends a lot of time on the ground. It perches, almost like a songbird, oftentimes, unlike a lot of other woodpeckers. So there you have it at Big Bailey Run, the flicker. Better footage. Again, we're at Big Bailey, and this is the brown thrasher. You can see the markings on the breast, the long tail, because of the yellow shy. Looks like there's two of them on the background as well. Must be a pair. Okay, guys, we got an eastern bluebird here. Dark black bluish color in the back, on the flanks and on the breast. It's in the thrush family, which is the same family as the robin. The eastern bluebird is a cavity nesting bird. Populations have really rebounded in the past 10 or 15 years because of citizen conservationists putting out nesting boxes. They have responded to those nesting boxes and are doing fairly well. This is the eastern bluebird. See a nice bluish iridescent back, orange front. The female is duller in coloration, much duller than that in coloration. Eastern bluebird. Okay, here's the male. The previous one was a female, much more brightly colored, dark bluish color in the back, much more intense in the orange and red coloration as well. But this is the male, a beautiful male there. You can see how intense the blue is. All right, so we're at the Ridges in Athens. On the OU campus, and these are rock pigeons. Rock pigeons are not native to Ohio or the United States. They're originally from Europe. They were birds that were domesticated and raised for food, for um, various uses. Food, for example, racing pigeons. There's a number of different reasons why these pigeons were used, but they're not necessarily considered an invasive species. They do cause some problems with in urban areas with their droppings. But other than that, they're not necessarily what I would consider a invasive species, but they are non-native. The species is considered widespread throughout Ohio, throughout the United States. It is very common in urban suburban areas, but you'll find it nesting either on rock ledges. That's why they like the underpasses of bridges, buildings, areas like that, is where you typically find the rock pigeon nesting. So this is European rock pigeon, and you can see that there are various colorations. They've been bred with crossing of different varieties of rock pigeons, and you get different colorations. But typically, that purplish head is one way you can tell it. One way you can tell from the mourning dove for sure, even though they're related, is it has a short, stubby tail as opposed to a long, pointed tail. And it's a little plumpier, more plump, not streamlined, and has a lot more iridescent color in the breast and head area. And of course has a darker breast and body. Rock pigeon. Alright guys, I'm going to provide with you a few birds around my home in Hocking County. This is a red-headed woodpecker, beautiful bird. Bright red coloration on the head. Unlike the other woodpeckers, it's fully covered with red on the head. It's black back, white front, blackish tail. No mistaking the red-headed woodpecker. In recent years, populations have declined a little bit because of some of it has to do with a lack of cavities, because they're of course a cavity nesting species. Some of it has to do with competition with other cavity nesting birds like European starling, for example. But we have a pair here at my home that's using a dead snag not too far from where I live, and they've been coming to the suet all winter long. Both pair. Okay, so there's their red-headed woodpecker. Alright guys, we have the largest woodpecker in North America, the pileated woodpecker. Let me get a little bit better focus here. Pileated woodpecker, related to the extinct ivory-billed woodpecker, which was slightly larger. The pileated can be identified easily by its red crest, the red mustache mark there. It's the male. Females do not have the red that extends down to the bill. Again, it's another black and white woodpecker, much larger though than any woodpecker we've seen so far. Probably the size of a crow, even though they seem larger than that when they're flying through the woods. Very vocal, very loud call. Some people describe it as they're laughing when they call. Create huge holes within the trees. One of their favorite foods is ants, ant larvae, especially carpenter ants. So they spend a little bit of time on the ground foraging around dead logs, any place where they might be able to find ants. Their holes are kind of oval shaped, not hard to identify. Instead of a round hole, it's more of an oval hole. They tend to nest in vertical dead snags, but will adapt to about any situation. They're more of a forest interior species, not totally bound to interior forest, but typically large forest areas. This is the pileated woodpecker. Okay, in fast order here, the flicker, common flicker, sometimes called the northern flicker, sometimes called the yellow-shafted flicker, has replaced the pileated woodpecker. Um, much different. Oops, we lost him here. And he's back. Notice it's not a black and white woodpecker. Much different than other species of woodpeckers in Ohio. A very spotted breast, kind of a yellowish gold cast to it. A little bit darker on top and then on the breast area. It has the red mark on the head. Black sideburns there. Notice the black gorget, the little necklace type thing on between the neck and the breast, which is pretty evident of the common flicker. Again, another vocal woodpecker, sometimes confused with the pileated woodpecker, although the song is much faster than what the pileated is. Again, strangely enough, a woodpecker that not only clings to the side of a tree, but spends a lot of time on the ground and also perches. You'll find the flicker perching quite a bit, almost like a songbird as opposed to a woodpecker. And there he goes. All right, guys, the red-bellied woodpecker has replaced the flicker now with the suet. This is a female because it doesn't have the red. It goes all the way to the forehead. Notice the zebra back, very distinct black and white back on it. It also has a tinge of red on the belly, which is where it gets its name, red belly, which is not a lot evident in the field. And it just took off, the red-bellied woodpecker. Red-bellied woodpecker. The second male. The red extends all the way to the base of the bill. You can see even the tinge of red on its belly there if you look there. Red-bellied woodpecker. Alright guys, now we have a downy woodpecker. This is a female because it lacks the red on the back of the head. Another black and white woodpecker. The hairy also comes from my feeder. It's a larger version of the downy. But both have the black and white back. The black and white markings on the head. The males have the red on the back back part of the head. Females do not. They have white fronts. Unlike the red-headed woodpecker, it's not a solid black. You can see the white stripe that goes down, or kind of white patch, excuse me, that goes down the middle of the back. So that is the downy. We may be able to pick up a hairy as well. The hairy is larger, and otherwise they're very identical in terms of plumage. You have to look at the size of the bill in relation to the width of the head is one way. If you notice on the downy, the bill length is about a third to half the width of the head. The hairy is much larger. So there you go. There's a downy woodpecker here at around my home in Hocking County. There we have the male downy with a red spot on the back of its head. The female, of course, doesn't have that. And I believe we saw a female earlier. Oh, great. And now we have a hairy. That's a good contrast right there. See how much longer the bill is? The bill is about the same size as the width of the head. This is the male hairy here. So good, that was great timing. First you saw a downy, and now you see a hairy. They look identical in terms of plumage, except for the size. Definite size difference. And again, look at the length of the bill compared to the width of the head. About the same width almost. As opposed to Downy's about half the width. The bill is about half the width of his head with the Downy. The hairy, of course, is about 3/4, almost the same size width-wise. But this is the hairy. Very good. Here we have a blue jay. There we go. Beautiful bird. It's actually a member of Corvidae, related to the crow. Native Americans used to call it the blue crow. One of the few blue colored birds we have in Ohio. It's a year-round bird, resident species. Very vocal. It's like the town crier. If you walk into the woods and the blue jay there, it'll let every other critter in the entire forest know you're there. Blue jay. Here's a Carolina chickadee. Black cap, black throat, white in between. A royal grayish bird. The Carolina chickadee occurs in the south of Ohio, and the black cap is the northern third. There's a Carolina wren. There's a white stripe through its eye. It's the largest wren we have in Ohio. Brownish back, sort of buffy breast. You see the black and white across the white eyebrow stripe, excuse me. Carolina stays here year-round as well. The house wren has not returned yet. It's a migratory wren. Those are the two most common wrens we have in Ohio. There he is. He's returned. Great job, Carolina wren. Carolina wren is very vocal. Its song could be interpreted as chippity, 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 or cheerio, cheerio, cheerio. Different interpretations, but very musical and very loud. Alright guys, we have the dark-eyed junco. It used to be called the northern junco, it used to be called the slate-colored junco, several names over the years. Slate colored seems to be appropriate for the color. It's gray on the back, white on the front, white outer tail feathers, and a kind of a pearly white bill. They are a winter bird only, and will return next fall, but typically they nest in the boreal forest. There we go again, of Canada, boreal forest species. So they will leave here in short order within the next week or two. Okay, here's a pretty good shot of the junco, dark-eyed junco. And very dark on top, a little bit lighter in the bottom. Has kind of a whitish, pinkish bill. The northern junco, again, is a species that will leave here. Just the wintering species will end up in Canada, in the boreal forest area. Okay, junco. It's a pretty good shot. You can see the white outer tail feathers there. Good shot there. Pinkish white bill, dark on top, white on the bottom. Dark-eyed junco. There you go. Okay, now we have a male northern cardinal. Beautiful cadmium red color with black facial marks, reddish bill. We saw a female earlier. This is the beautiful male. The male cardinal, of course, the cardinal is our state bird. It is a woodland edgy ecotone bird. Likes to nest in brushy, edgy areas along the fence row or woodland edge, someplace like that. Although it does occur in abundance in urban and suburban areas if there's shrubby landscape or plenty of trees around the landscaping. There's a blue jay, just came in. Oops. The blue jay, another common Ohio species, breeding bird species that stays here year round. See if he comes back into the field of vision here. There's your cardinal. Earlier we had a male cardinal, and now we have the female. The female is an attractive bird as well. It does have the black facial marks, the red bill, but of course lacks the red body, although it does have a tinge of red on the wings, as you can see. A little red on the back of the head. Oops, lost her. But that was a female cardinal. It's a beautiful example of a white-throated sparrow there. There you go. Nice striped head. You see the yellow between the eye and the bill. Oh yes, beautiful. There's a great picture of a white-throated sparrow. Brown back, white throat patch. You see the yellow there, right above the eye, between the eye and the bill, and of course the black and white striped head. White-throated sparrow. I love its song. It's got a beautiful melancholy song. Sometimes described as old Peabody, Peabody, Peabody. A ground-feeding bird, just a winter bird, and it will leave soon for the boreal forest this spring in Canada. White-throated sparrow.